This is Heimaey. 5,300 people live here, and this island has spent its entire history trying to kill every one of them. Pirates sailed 4,000 kilometers to raid it and dragged 242 people off in chains. 3 centuries later, a volcano nobody knew existed tore open one night, 200 meters from the nearest houses. Every reason in the world to leave, and yet 5,300 people still call it home. And when I started digging into why, I found a 350-year-old prophecy, a war against a volcano, and a town whose kids still walk the streets at night saving baby birds from their own lights. This is the story of the most stubborn island on Earth, and why 5,300 people refused to let it win. January 23rd, 1973, around 2 in the morning, the ground cracked open 200 meters from the nearest houses. 5,300 people asleep. 6 hours to get off the island. And the volcano isn't even the weirdest part. There's a 350-year-old prophecy that came true the same year as the eruption. I checked 3 sources because I didn't believe it. There's a single house on this island right here the whole internet is wrong about. And see this dot way down here? That island wasn't there in 1962. Fishermen watched it rise out of the ocean. Here's what got me though. This island has been trying to kill the people that live on it for 400 years. Pirates, slavery, a volcano that opened up under their beds. And they keep coming back. They keep choosing this place. Let me show you why. Alright, so, Iceland's south coast. The island's about 10 kilometers offshore at the closest point. The whole archipelago is called Vestmannaeyjar. There's like 15 main islands and around 30 smaller skerries and rock stacks scattered around them. And the total area of the whole thing is 16 square kilometers. So we're talking about something smaller than most cities. Now here's the thing you need to know to understand the rest of this video. Every single one of these islands, every dot you see on this map, is the top of an underwater volcano. The chain sits inside a system of 70 or 80 volcanoes, half of them under the sea, half above. And they only started forming around 10 or 12,000 years ago, which on a geological scale is basically nothing. Most island chains take millions of years. This one is brand new, and it's still being made, which I'll come back to. So this big one in the middle is Heimaey, means home island. About 4,500 people live there, and it's the only inhabited one in the whole archipelago. Couple things to flag. The harbor on the north side, see this little protected inlet? Remember it. It's the most important detail in the entire video, and I'm going to come back to why. The big black scar on the east side is Eldfell, the volcano from 1973. And way down here at the bottom, this little dot, that's Surtsey, youngest island on Earth, born from the sea in 1963. Coming back to that one too. 6 of the other islands have a single hunting cabin on them. No families, no village, just one cabin per island. And one of these cabins has somehow become like a worldwide internet thing for kind of a dumb reason. This one, Etzletuye, northeasternmost island in the chain, about half a square kilometer. And if you spent any time on Reddit or Twitter, you've probably seen this island without realizing it. That single white house on a green plateau, ocean on every side, people call it the world's loneliest house. It goes viral every 6 months. Here's what it actually is. It got built in 1953 by a group called the Heimaey Hunting Association. It's a hunting lodge. They use it for puffin hunting. No electricity, no running water, just rainwater they collect. That's the whole story. Most popular rumor is that Bjork lives there. She doesn't. That comes from a different island, also called Heimaey, in a different part of Iceland, that the government did offer her in 2000. She said no. The other big rumor is that some billionaire built it as a zombie apocalypse bunker. Also fake. It's a hunting cabin, dude. Some families actually did live on Heimaey way back, mostly in the 1700s and early 1900s. They survived on bird hunting and fishing. Last family left in the 1930s. Quick tour of the rest. Bjartnarey is the next one over. Has its own little crater. Used to be sheep grazing land. Then southwest of Heimaey, you have Alsey, Suðuroy, and Prentjur. All hunting cabins. Sheep used to graze there too. And Heltisey, which is mostly known for being almost impossible to land a boat on. But this little one, Sulnaskr, is my favorite naming detail on the whole archipelago. Tiny, like 3/100th of a square kilometer. Famous for these dramatic rock pillars sticking out of the sea. And the name literally means gannet pillar, because in Icelandic, the word sulur means both pillars and gannets. So the island's named after the rock pillars and the birds that live on them, all in one word. there's a massive gannet colony on it. So yeah, the whole archipelago is basically a chain of underwater volcanoes that stuck out of the water just long enough for someone to put a hunting cabin on. 6 islands, 6 cabins, that's the math. But Heimaey is the one with actual people. And the story of why people are still living on this island after everything that has happened on it starts almost 350 years ago, with a pirate raid, and a prophecy that took 3.5 centuries to come true. So the islands were originally settled around 874 AD, and here's where it starts to get interesting. Some of the original settlers were escaped Irish slaves running from Norse settlers on the Icelandic mainland. The name Vestmannaeyjar literally means the Westman's Islands, which means this island is literally named after people who escaped slavery to live there. Hold on to that, I'm coming back to it at the very end. Now jump forward almost 800 years, July 16th, 1627. 3 pirate ships show up off the south coast of Heimaey. Now these aren't local pirates, these aren't Vikings or anything. These are Barbary corsairs from Algiers and Saleh in Morocco, like 4,000 kilometers away. They sailed all the way to a tiny island in the North Atlantic to raid it. And the fleet was led by a guy named Jan Janssen, who was originally Dutch. He'd been captured by corsairs years earlier, converted to Islam, took the name Murat Reis. Crazy story on its own, look him up. So they land on Heimaey, burn the church, kill 36 islanders, and capture 242 people, mostly women and children, load them onto the ships, and ship them back to North Africa to be sold in the slave markets of Algiers. Here's one more detail from this raid I genuinely cannot stop thinking about. About 100 islanders hid inside a single cave. It's still there. It's actually called Hundrathmannahellir, the Cave of the 100. They thought they were safe. The pirates would have walked right past it. But there was a dog at the entrance, and the dog gave them away. The town minister, a guy named Olafur Eliasson, got deliberately released by the pirates. They sent him back to Europe to walk to Copenhagen and basically begged the Danish king for ransom money. It took 10 years to bring some of the captured islanders back. He never saw his children again. Okay, now here's the part where I had to stop and look this up in 3 different places to make sure I wasn't being lied to. After the raid, this old saying took hold on the island. The pirates would come back, but only when 3 specific things happened. 1. The town would extend west of a landmark called the Haustein. 2. A freshwater pool called Vilpa would no longer be in use. 3. The son of a bishop would be ordained as a priest on the island. For 346 years, none of it happened. Then in early 1973, all 3 came true within a few months of each other. The town extended past Haustein. The Vilpa pool got filled in after a kid drowned in it, and a guy named Karl Sigbjornsson, son of a bishop, was ordained as a priest on Heimaey. The pirates didn't come, but something else did. January 22nd, 1973. There's a massive winter storm blowing across Iceland's south coast. Seas are too rough to fish, so the entire fishing fleet, like 60 to 70 boats, is sheltering inside Heimaey's harbor. I want you to actually flag this in your head. Burn it in, because this random ordinary winter storm is about to become the most important coincidence in this whole story. 5,300 people went to sleep on the island that night. There had been some small earthquakes earlier in the day, but nothing anyone could really feel. And Iceland gets earthquakes constantly, so nobody thought anything of it. Here's the part that really got me. Until that night, Heimaey was considered volcanically inactive. By volcanologists, by the people who lived there. Everybody. Nobody saw this coming. 1:55 in the morning, January 23rd. The ground tears open. A fissure 1.6 kilometers long splits the eastern side of the island. About 40 lava fountains erupt at once, all at the same time, shooting up into the night sky. The new volcano, Eldfell, is being born in real time, and the fissure is 200 meters from the easternmost houses. Just imagine waking up to that. Snow on your roof, sulfur in the air, your bedroom window suddenly orange. People wake up to fire engine sirens screaming through the streets. They've got minutes. Some grab their kids in coats, some grab nothing. Everyone walks down to the harbor. And here's where that fishing fleet matters. If those 70 boats hadn't been sitting in the harbor that night, because of a storm nobody had really thought about, there would have been no way to get 5,300 people off the island in time. Like, none. Every single one of those boats just became an evacuation vessel. First boats leave the harbor at 2:30 a.m. 35 minutes after the eruption began. A few elderly people and hospital patients fly out by plane. Almost everyone else goes by boat. And within 6 hours, almost the whole town is off the island. By sunrise, the only people left on Heimaey are firefighters, scientists, and the volcano. The eruption doesn't stop. It just keeps going. Lava starts pouring out of the fissure and rolling down towards the town. Tephra, which is basically chunks of hot volcanic rock, is raining out of the sky. Workers are wearing steel helmets because some of those chunks are heavy enough to punch straight through roofs and start fires. 200 million tons of ash falls on the island over the course of the eruption. Houses are getting buried alive in ash. By the end, 400 homes are completely destroyed. And during the operation, one worker dies of carbon monoxide poisoning. The fight just keeps going around him. But the worst is still coming. The lava is heading directly towards the harbor. And this is the part where I had to put the article down and just sit with what was about to happen. Because remember when I told you to flag the harbor? Without that harbor, Heimaey is dead. Like permanently dead. The harbor is one of the only good harbors on Iceland's entire south coast. It's the only reason the town exists in the first place. Fishing is the entire economy. So if the lava seals it off, even if the eruption ends tomorrow, even if every single person on that island wants to come back, there's nothing to come back to. The town is just done. So this Icelandic physicist, a guy named Björn Sigurðsson, proposes something that has never been attempted at this scale, ever. Pump seawater onto the lava. Cool it. Stop it. Lava is about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The Atlantic Ocean in January is about 40 degrees. So on paper, this is throwing a glass of water on a forest fire. People kind of thought he was insane, but the alternative was watching the harbor die. So they tried. Started small. A few pumps and some hoses. Then more. Then more. Pumps got flown in from the Icelandic mainland. Then from the United States. At peak, they had 47 pumps running 24 hours a day. And the total amount of seawater they pumped onto the lava, and I am not exaggerating, I checked this in like 3 sources, was 6.8 billion liters. 6.8 billion. They were hosing the actual Atlantic Ocean onto an active volcano. Walls of steam hundreds of feet high. The lava's boiling where the water hits it. The cooled front of the flow hardens into solid rock, and the new lava behind that wall has nowhere to go but pile up against the wall in front of it. So they were basically building a dam out of the volcano itself, using its own lava against it. The workers were standing on top of the cooling lava while it was still moving underneath them, dragging hoses forward, like inch by inch. And they did this for 5 months, day and night, every single day. July 3rd, 1973. The eruption is officially declared over, 155 days after it started. The harbor's saved. And here's the part that genuinely makes me laugh. The new lava walls actually made the harbor more sheltered than before. The volcano accidentally gave them a better port than they had to start with. Like to this day, nobody has done anything close to this on this scale. It's the largest lava cooling operation in human history. They fought a volcano and they won. When the eruption was over, Heimaey was a different island. The lava and tephra had added 2.1 square kilometers of new land. The island is now physically bigger than it used to be. Eldfell, the new volcanic cone, is about 220 meters tall. Didn't exist 6 months earlier. About a third of the town was gone. A lot of islanders chose not to come back. Trauma was too much, which, fair. But a lot of them did. Slowly through the summer of 1973, families started coming home. Schools reopened that fall. New people moved in too, drawn by the rebuilding effort. Just think about what it takes to actually do that, to go home to a place that almost killed you, to rebuild your house in the literal shadow of the volcano that buried the last one. But the part that really gets me is what they did next. For 15 years, from 1974 to 1988, they used the leftover heat from the cooling lava to heat their homes and their water. Free geothermal energy from the disaster. In the tephra, the ash that destroyed their houses, they used it to extend the airport runway and lay foundations for 200 new homes. There's a museum on the island now called Heimaey. It's built around a single house that got excavated from the ash decades after the eruption. You can walk through it. Their stuff is still where they left it, and the family who lived in that house actually came back to the island, just to a different house. Okay, now I have to talk about that southernmost dot. So this is just 10 years before Eldfell, November 14th, 1963. A fishing boat called Iceland 2 is sailing through these islands when the crew sees smoke at sea. They race toward it because they assume another boat is on fire and the crew might need help. It wasn't a boat, it was a brand new island being born. The eruption had started 130 meters below sea level. By the time those fishermen actually got close enough to see what was happening, an island had already broken the surface. The eruption kept going for 3.5 years until June 1967. At its biggest, it was 2.7 square kilometers, which made it the second largest island in the whole archipelago. They named it Surtsey, after Surtur, the Norse fire giant. And it wasn't alone. 2 sister islands also rose during the same eruption. One of them was called Surtlingur, which means Little Surtsey, appeared in May 1965, got washed away within weeks. The other one was called Julnir, also appeared, also eroded back into the sea. So 2 whole islands came up out of the ocean and then just went back. And that happened in the lifetime of people who are still alive right now. Surtsey is a UNESCO World Heritage Site now. And here's something I think is genuinely cool. Humans are forbidden from setting foot on it. Even scientists need permits. They keep it isolated so researchers can watch how life colonizes brand new land for the first time. They've documented the arrivals in order. Bacteria first, then mosses, then seabirds, then plants brought there by bird droppings. A whole ecosystem building itself from nothing in real time. That's the wild thing about this whole archipelago. Most islands just sit there for thousands of years not doing anything. This place is alive. Surtsey was born in 63, Eldfell in 73. 2 new volcanic islands in 10 years. This place is constantly being made, and almost unmade. About 4,500 people live on Heimaey today. And if you go look at the island on a satellite map right now, you can kind of see the whole story written into the land. The black scar of Eldfell on the east side, the harbor on the north, wider and more sheltered than it used to be because of those lava walls. New ground that wasn't there in 1972. It's all still there. You can see it. Now here's the last thing about this place I want to tell you, and it might be my favorite part of the whole story. Heimaey is part of the largest Atlantic puffin colony on Earth. 8 million puffins, around 1.1 million breeding pairs, and every August and September, the baby puffins, they're called pufflings, leave their cliff nests for the very first time. They're supposed to fly toward the moon to find the open sea. That's the instinct. Follow the brightest light, you'll find the ocean. But the lights of the town confuse them. They mistake street lights and porch lights for the moon. So instead of flying out to sea, they crash land in the streets of the town. The kids of Heimaey go out into the dark with cardboard boxes and flashlights. They walk the streets. They find the lost pufflings. They take them home. They keep them as overnight guests in their houses. And the next morning, they take them to the cliffs at the edge of the island. They lift them up, and they throw them gently off into the wind, towards the open sea. This has been happening for generations. Couple quick things before I let you go. So yeah, all 3 things in that 1627 prophecy actually came true in early 1973. Town extended past Heistein, the Vilpa pool got filled in after the kid drowned, the bishop's son was ordained on the island, and then the volcano came. Make of that what you will. I genuinely don't know what I make of it. Every August on the bank holiday weekend, Heimaey hosts an event called Húsdýrtíð, Iceland's biggest annual festival. Started in 1874. Around 20,000 people show up, which is 6% of Iceland's entire population, on a tiny island that almost got buried alive 50 years ago. The Eldheimar Museum is open today. You can walk through the buried house yourself. If you like this one, I've got more islands coming. Tell me where you want me to go next in the comments. See you in the next one.